Hey, it's Kari at StudioR12. Thanks for joining us today. We have a really fun, non-traditional Christmas project for you. Let me tell you all the things we're gonna do. We're gonna teach you how to shadow. We're gonna teach you how to do a drop shadow. We're gonna teach you how to do some paste so you get a nice, thick texture. And we're gonna teach you how to spatter. Stay tuned, you're gonna have fun. I hope that you guys are just as excited as we are about today's project. Who doesn't love something a little non-traditional at Christmas time? We always see the reds and the greens, but today we decided to go a little different, adding some fun colors and just changing it up a little bit. So we're doing our fun Christmas bell, has the deer, has our Merry Christmas. Let's get started because we have a lot to do. So we're gonna start, we already based our background of our board, but we wanted to show you how to make it nice and grungy around the edges. And this is gonna take a little bit of a trick when it comes to sanding your board. So these are our favorite sanders. We will put the link to them in the comments below. These come from Amazon. We are an Amazon affiliate, so we will share the links to you guys below, and then you can go grab the sander. It fits nice and great in your hand, and we'll also put the sandpaper links in there as well. We get a very, very small commission for it, but we wanted to give you guys a one-stop shop for the products that we don't use. So when you typically sand, just across, right? Today, we are going to take it to the edge. So we are going to angle our sander just a little bit, and we're gonna go with the grain of the board. So we're gonna sand nice and with the grain. We're gonna go ahead and do this and get it started. And then later on in our project, we're gonna finish it up. But I want to go ahead and show you that first so that we can get this board nice and sanded. And this way, with it having a bit of a diagonal, you're gonna get some really rough, rustic edges around here. Now, you don't wanna do it on this side, because if you do it on the side, then you're gonna come across here, and that's what's gonna get edged. So just have a nice angle. This is our sanding is my cardio. You're gonna have a little bit of a workout here. Dust it off to your side. And then you can see it has a really nice rustic edge all the way through. And then we're gonna go back to our middle sand, sanding it like normal, putting a little bit of weight behind it. And just going all the way through. So when you're sanding, you're gonna get stuff everywhere. You're gonna have a nice little area on your mat, so then you can just go ahead and scrape it off to the side, maybe put a trash bag or a big piece of brown craft paper down to catch all of your sanding material. I'm gonna hit this with the blow dryer real quick. While I hit this with the blow dryer, go ahead and tell us where you're from, what the weather's like today. We always get so excited to see where you guys are from. All right, these black mats are amazing. This is also another Amazon affiliate that we have found. So it's just a silicone mat. We can put our projects on it. Our tables were getting nasty from all the painting we do, so we get this. And then we also just use the Zep cleaner. When we're finished, we'll just spray it on. We'll get a little sponge and get it a little wet, and then just wipe it off, and it wipes clean every time. So before I move on to our next step, let's talk about giveaways. So there's two places that you can be watching us right now. You can be watching us on Facebook. We do tutorials every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Eastern, and we are live in the comments answering all of your questions. Or you could be catching us on YouTube. And on YouTube, we have a ton of tutorials. We put all of our Facebook live videos over there, but we also have a lot of other things. We have short videos, we have Ask Kari's with yours truly, and we just have so many things, so many different tips and tricks for all of your stencil painting needs. So if you're on YouTube, head over to Facebook because that's where you can be entered in to win a giveaway. And if you're on Facebook, head over to YouTube, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can be notified anytime that we add new content, because we don't always put everything on Facebook first. Some of the content goes to YouTube first and they're YouTube exclusive, so we want to make sure you're not missing out. So let's talk about giveaways. Since we are painting a Christmas sign today, I decided to do a little Christmas stencil giveaway. How exciting is that? So we're gonna have a winner for the 12 p.m. show and a winner for the 9 p.m. show. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna share our video right now. You're gonna comment and you're gonna like it. Let us know that you've liked and shared so you can be entered to win. So we have several different stencils in this bundle. We have a small snowflake, we have a larger snowflake, we have a Believe, we have a Merry Christmas, we have holly leaves, and this one has a lot of the same things, but this one also has a tree and then some little snowflakes and different things. So whoever wins these is gonna get a nice little bundle of stencils. And the fun thing about these, if you even got this bell-shaped board, you could go ahead and you could put your holly or ivy leaves with your berries all over the background. You could paint a nice Believe in it. The Merry Christmas fits right on it. So that's one of the things that we love about stencils, is that they are so versatile. You can use different parts of your stencils for different things, and your designs and your projects can be endless. So don't forget to like and comment and share, because we know that you guys are looking to get more stencils, and why not do it for free? So that's not it. We also have a grand prize of a $30 shopping spree at StudioR12.com. So if you haven't been over to our website yet, now is the time. When you first get on, there is going to be a spinning wheel that pops up. So if you are not yet subscribed to our newsletters, then you can go ahead and fill out the information on that wheel. You can subscribe, and then you could get a discount off your next purchase. So to win the $30 shopping spree, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over to the posts tab on StudioR12's Facebook page, and you're gonna upload photos of your finished stencil projects. And you can upload up to 5 and get 1 entry for each photo that you upload. Now, if you use a StudioR12 stencil in your project, you can get an extra entry. So you could get up to 10 entries to win this giveaway. So we'll announce the stencil winner giveaway tomorrow morning, and then we'll announce the winners. We'll give you a week. Maybe you want to paint some new things for us, but we'll announce this next Tuesday before we go live. Okay, so we are going to move on here. So we have several things we're showing you. So first, we're going to line up our stencil. This is STCL 3648. This is our Merry Christmas bell, and we have the bell-shaped surface, which is super fun. And we are going to tape down our stencil. We have this stretchy tape, which we offer on StudioR12.com. And the thing about it is it comes in a lot of different sizes. You can use the small one to make curves, and you just want to make sure that you are taping down your stencil so you don't get movement. If you only do it on one side, it can go left and right, it can go up and down, so we want to do it on both sides. In one of the lives I did recently, I was taping down my stencil and someone put it in the comments, "You're not a peeker, are you?" Because I taped that thing down like Fort Knox. It wasn't going anywhere. I am not a peeker. Let us know in the comments below, are you a peeker? I can't do it. Every time I do it, I'm afraid I'm gonna not be able to line it back up where I was. So I just don't peek. So I'm just gonna show you a couple things on this board. We have one that's already based with a lot of it on here, but I want to show you here how to do the shadowing with the deer. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of stencil basics as we do it. So I'm going to pop over here. So I'm left-handed, so Steve always has to, when I'm up here painting, he has to kind of change things around because I'm on the left side and my palette paper is on the left side. All right. Don't forget to like and comment and share so that you guys can be entered to win our fun prizes. All right, we are going to start with our yellow. So we're gonna do yellow for the base of our deer. For those of you who are new to stenciling, we're gonna pick up a little bit of paint with our brush, and then we are going to swirl off. You're gonna do about 10 swirls. Then you're gonna pick it up and come to the side and do about 3 or 4 more, just so you can get off most of the paint. So when you are stenciling, a lot of times that we hear from people that their biggest problem is that they bleed under. So that can be for a lot of reasons. It can be, one, because you have too much paint on your brush. It can be because of the type of brush you are using. We use dome brushes, so any way you look at it, it's a dome. The dome allows you to go really soft, and you're not hitting a flat part really any time that you are stenciling. And you can see on my hand that probably can't see, that there's a very little dusting of paint on my hand. That's what you want when you're stenciling. If it is wet and it is gloppy, then that means you have too much paint on your brush. You also want to use a dry brush. So when you are getting brushes, speaking of brushes, if you guys have our brushes, comment below, let everybody know how much you love them. All of our brushes are the dome brushes, and you want to do it dry. So when you have your bucket of water here, you don't put your brush in the bucket of water until you are done with it. When you're done with it, then you'll rinse them out. You will let them dry for probably a day before you can use them again. Because if your brush is wet, then the paint's gonna get a little bit thinner, and then you have a bigger chance of bleeding under. So I've talked my paint dry, so I'm gonna get a little bit more. We're gonna swirl here, and we're gonna come over. So today we're gonna use our MultiMasker. This is one of our tools that we have that helps us not to have to tape off. This project has things all over the place, lots of different colors, and this MultiMasker makes it really easy that you set it down, and you swirl and you move it around wherever you're going. So up here where the antlers are, we're just gonna stick it here. That way we don't get any ghosting and get paint where we don't want it. So I will show you what happens if you do get ghosting. So say I didn't move my masker and we got a little bit of paint up here where the antlers are. Don't worry, it can be fixed. So we have a couple different things that you can fix it with. Water and paint are your best erasers. So this is our click eraser. And what you can do is you can get it in your water. If you're the only one using it, you can lick it. But if you do this dry, it's not gonna do anything. But if you get it wet and then you go right over your project, it will get that paint right off. Now, one thing you want to be careful with, if you just based your board, it can bring off the paint from your base coat. So if you are putting water on it, then just be mindful that that might come up a little too. But look, that came straight off. How cool is that? You can also stick your finger in water and just kind of rub it up. But there are tips and tricks for if you bleed through and if you ghost. So I got this guy done. And I think I'm gonna do one more layer on him to show you guys how to shade this one. All right, so we're gonna use our masker again. We're gonna go all the way around. And you can see I'm doing just a really light swirl. After that first layer, you could still see a little bit of the background peeking through, and that is what you want. Stenciling is a layers game. You wanna have just a really light coats, and you're gonna keep doing it until you have the the coverage that you want. So are you guys stipplers or swirlers? So swirlers go here, Stippling is a tapping motion that's up and down. I used to only be a stippler. However, the more I do it, the more I've learned that stippling is one of the reasons that I was bleeding through, because I had too much paint on my brush. However, now I swirl for my first couple layers, and if I'm looking for some really deep, bold coverage, then once I get to my last layer, I will stipple through just to get a little bit extra coverage. So now I'm going to work on the highlight and the shadowing of this deer. Since we are in the same color palette that we are going to do our shadow in, I'm going to use a dirty brush. So you're not going to want to use a dirty brush for everything. You're going to want to switch brushes as you switch colors. That's why it's important to have several brushes, because you don't want to paint with them wet and you don't want to paint with them dirty. So we're going to go over here to our burnt orange, pick some up, and we are going to swirl it off even more than what you typically do, because we just want a really light shadow. And we did our shadow from the top going down. So I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to put my masker down, and I'm just going to really lightly come across the top. And as I go down, I'm going to lift it up. It's hardly touching. So you can see when we peel this back, let me get all my tape off here. When we peel this back, you can see he's dark at the top, and then he just gets a little bit lighter at the bottom. So there's several ways you can do this. You can start with the base being dark, and you can lighten up. You could do a brighter yellow if you didn't want to have that dark, and you could go dark yellow up to light yellow. So there's several different options when you are highlighting. So I could come back into my yellow here, just get a little bit on here. So it's going to be a little bit darker because we put the orange on, but we're going to swirl off, and then I'm going to come back through and add a little bit more yellow to the top and just kind of even him out a little more with just a really light swirl and then a stipple. So that is how we are going to shade our deer. So let me I just want to grab another color. We also did some shading on the star here, which you can see that there's light at the top, and then it gets a little darker. We have a little bit of yellow here. So you're going to want to base it in your main color and then add the shading as the top color and just going really slowly down. So I shaded mine quite a bit further down. I wanted him to be a little bit darker on top and then just gradually shade into his legs, so his legs were a little brighter. So I'm going to do just a couple more of these little places so that you guys can see about using the masker and how to do some of the different shapes. So when we are doing small areas, the brush that we normally use is the 5/8 brush. So that's our larger brush. Grab a couple more from down here. So the 5/8 brush is the one that you typically see us using, and it is great for big coverage areas. However, this is a 3/8 brush, and then I think we also have a couple smaller ones. This is a 1/4 brush. So we have a variety of sizes. Our most popular pack of brushes is a 5 set that comes with small all the way to large. So depending on the size of the area that you're working in is going to determine what size brush you want to use. So I'm going to get a little bit of a smaller brush and let's do some of these circles here. I'm going to do a couple of the stars because I already have my orange out. So we're going to pick up a little bit of paint. We're just going to swirl off onto your paper towel. If you find yourself bleeding under, make sure that you're remembering to swirl off. And then we're just going to come over to our stars, and we're just going to swirl very lightly. You can see that there's hardly any coverage. It's just a really, really, really light dusting, light coat. If you find yourself being able to see lines, so when you're painting, and I'll do it up here, and you can see that it's wet and there are lines through it, that means it's a little too much on your brush, and there's a good chance that you're going to bleed through when you're doing that. So we're going to want to get just a little bit more. All right, guys, tell me, have you started painting for Christmas yet. So we are doing Christmas in July. We are so ready for all of the Christmas projects. We have some fun new projects, and we're pumped for Christmas. So let us know if you have started painting for Christmas. So we're gonna swirl on here, do our second layer. And depending on what you're going for will really determine how many layers that you are going to use. So we have another sample here I'm going to use next to work on some things, but this one was just done, these leaves were just done with one light layer, these stars were just done with a light layer. So depending on how bold you want it is going to be what determines how many layers you do. I like for things to be really light and dusty, so a lot of my projects I'll do 1, maybe 2 layers. And then let me finish this one off here. I'm going to do another one with 3 so you can tell the difference, and I'm going to stipple this time. Stippling adds more coverage faster, but it also puts more paint on your board. So if you're swirling, you can start here, go around, and then kind of keep going in a circle for your layers. But if you are stippling, it is still going to be wet. So you can tell the difference in some of our lighter ones compared to some of the one that I stippled. This one only had 1 layer up top, and this one had 3, including a stippled layer. So if you are going to stipple, you are also probably going to have to use your hairdryer. We have a hairdryer that we have on our painting table. We just put a hook there, and we just have it for whenever we need it. All right, so I think we're good on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and move over to our next board so I can show you how to do the drop shadow and how to do our fun spatter. Before I do that, I'm gonna show you guys some of our fun Christmas painted samples. So you can see behind me the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It is a 4-foot porch sign. And all of the ones that we grabbed for you today are ones that we've done in non-traditional colors. So there are brights, they're the ones that have the pinks and the blues and all the really fun ones. Now, this one only comes in a 4-foot. It does not come in a 6-foot. Let me grab it for you. This one is STCL 5126, but this is just really fun with the bright different colors. Candy Christmas is really popular right now with all the little shapes of the candies and all the bright colors. And we like to give you guys ideas of just some different things that you can do with your signs. So we also have the Johnson Family's Holiday Treat Shop, Candies and Pastries. So this is a personalized sign. So you can, when you order this stencil on StudioR12.com, you can put your name here, and it's just something fun. A personalized Christmas gift is really wonderful. So if you are looking for something for your in-laws or for a family, you can do this, and you can paint it in several different ways. Put their name up here, and then you can gift it to several people, but paint it the way that their kitchen is. So this is PRST5703. And then we have, this is one of our favorite Christmas signs, and there's also a tutorial that Lena did with this where she showed us how to jazz up this sign. So we will put that link in the comments below, and it shows you how to spatter, how to highlight, how to do a lot of different fun things. But we actually have this one painted 2 different ways. Let me take off my tape here so you can see both sides. So this one is in a very nice bright way. We kind of went with that same color palette. Or this is what we did with nice neutrals, so a nice fall, winter, Christmas palette that just has the dark colors. And this one says hot cocoa, Christmas movies, warm sweaters, twinkling lights, flannel PJs, gingerbread cookies. So all of our favorite Christmas things, right? This is STCL 5166. And then we also have one more, and this guy is big, and we also did him in the same color palette. So we did all of these together, which is something that's also really fun for if you are painting for your home, that you can choose a color palette and you can paint all of the signs to kind of, you know, correspond together, go together. And you can use the back for when you decide to change up your color theme. So this is STCL 5118, and it is Jingle All the Way. And this is a fun one because we did the drop shadow with this, but this is one that you're definitely also going to want to use your MultiMasker with because of the bell. So it is one that before we had our MultiMasker, we had to tape this puppy up like crazy so that we didn't get any ghosting here. All right, so I'm going to move on to, let me know which one of those is your favorite. I'm kind of partial to the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas 4-foot sign. Okay, we're gonna move on to our second stencil here. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna work on our drop shadow. So there's a couple different ways to do this. We have some videos on YouTube that we can share below. And we've shown a couple different ways to do it. You can do kind of a 3-part where you will go ahead and paint here, which we've already done that. So we already have a little bit painted. And then you can move it down to do your drop shadow and then move it back to do your top layer. Or what you can do is you can kind of just highlight this here so you know a little bit where you want to go, and you can take it down to 2 steps rather than 3. So when you are doing your drop shadow, we have it lined up where we want it, and you can go up, you can go down, you can choose. I do, on this one we did down and to the right. So you're gonna bring it down just a little, and then you're gonna bring it over to the right. So with this stencil, with this surface, you can check and see if it is kind of even all the way around when you're moving it. So you don't wanna move it too far, because if you move it too far, then the shadow is gonna be really deep. And some of the shadow is just going to be too deep for what the words are. If you have some smaller words, we painted one the other day, and on the big words, it looked great because it was a really deep drop shadow. But on the small words, it was too deep. All right, so let me line this up. And tell me while I'm working on this, because I can't talk and line up at the same time, what are your favorite Christmas colors to paint with? I'm going to show you what our most popular ones are, the ones that we use the most, but I want to hear from you guys. Which ones do you like the best? Okay, so I think this is good enough. We're going to tape this back down, and we're going to do our drop shadow. Our first layer of our drop shadow is going to be black. I'm gonna flip over my paper towel here. Use good paper towels. If you buy cheap paper towels and use cheap paper towels to do your painting, then you're gonna get some little dusties and little particles on your project. So you wanna make sure you get the good paper towels. We're just gonna do a black layer here. So I'm gonna add a little black to my brush. We're gonna swirl off, and then we're just gonna go over our Merry Christmas. There's a little too much on there still. I can tell if it starts to look a little bit juicy, that means there's too much paint on your brush. So have you guys tried this drop shadow? I know that we've had some of our viewers, some of our Facebook friends on here have sent us some pictures that they've watched the drop shadow videos and they've practiced and they've started doing this, and how easy it is to do a drop shadow through your stencil compared to doing a traditional drop shadow where you use one of the small liner brushes. You can do it. If you have the hand for it and you have the eye for it, then you can definitely do that. This is an easy way to do it. It's kind of foolproof. It just takes some practice to know where you like your stencil, how you want your shadow, and kind of spacing out where you want your stencil to be. So I'm going to bring the MultiMasker back over here just to cover these up. this project would be a mess if we had to tape this off. I'm so thankful that we have this MultiMasker for this project. All right, so we're just going lightly over our Merry Christmas. I think I'm gonna stop here and go back up. So the top, so now one thing, we can pop up the overhead view here. You can see I am dragging my brush over from one side to the other, and I got some paint on my stencil. Luckily, it was on my stencil and not on my project, but even if it did get on the project, that's okay, because we can just wipe it off. If it got on your project, you can use a wet paper towel or a wet finger and you can dab it right up. So we will move our paper towel over here to do our second layer so we're not dragging it as far. So we're gonna come over, do a second layer, quickly swirl. It's the beauty of swirlings. By the time we get done with our first layer, we are ready to move on to our second layer. And it's the same with painting your layers throughout your whole project. Depending on how bold you want your drop shadow to be will determine how many layers you do of this Mary. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to come down here just to give this a little bit more time to dry. While this is drying, I'm going to grab a drink. So I have my little cup today. This is our StudioR12 Live tumbler. Has the logo on the front, and on the back it has all of our fun hashtags. So it has StudioR12, Stipple, and Swirl. I love it, which is the one that Lena says paint it till it's pretty, hashtag stencil fan, sanding is my cardio. So we have these in several different sizes and several different colors. We normally have our big 30 ounce to put water in, or Patty likes her tea. So I'm gonna just use my little one. You guys can guess what's in it. All right, so while that is getting done drying, it's still a little tacky. I'm gonna hit it with the blow dryer real quick. So we've already talked about, have you started your Christmas painting yet? Have you started your Christmas shopping yet? When do you start shopping for Christmas? I'm one of those, it really just depends on what I find. I'm gonna stipple this last layer just so I can get it nice and deep. And then I'm probably gonna regret doing this because we are putting white over top of black, but I have a little trick. We're not just doing a traditional white paint today. So when I'm kind of one of those shoppers that anytime that I find something, I just go ahead and grab it and I shove it in my closet, and I do that all year. And then come Christmas, I forget the stuff that I had, and it always ends up being a lot more than what I remembered having. Okay, so we are gonna be done with the black. I'm going to hit the blow dry with this one more time just to get this dry because I stippled. So now we are going to remove our stencil from our board, and we are going to move it back up. So one of the things that we want to do when you're doing your drop shadow is you're going to want to do at least one light layer just so you can see where to move your stencil back to. So now I know that when I'm moving my stencil back and I'm trying to determine where it goes, that my deer are already in the right place. So you can see here that when we move the stencil back, there's a little space over Mary that we know is going to be where our drop shadow is. So it's so easy, and it's just so easy and so fun. So we are going to do something a little bit different with our drop shadow today. So instead of using just a white paint, we are going to use a white paint, but we're also going to use a modeling paste. So the modeling paste is something that you can use to give your project a little grit and a little texture. It might be hard to see this here, I'm gonna put it over here for Steve to see that this is raised. So when you do a modeling paste, it is going to make it a raised texture. It's gonna make it kind of chunky, and you can just feel, can you hear my fingers scraping across it? That it just gives it a fun raised texture. So we're gonna show you how to do that. We are going to use our wide palette knife for this. We use the Liquitex modeling paste, and you can get this on StudioR12.com. We're just gonna put a dollop of it on our palette paper. And this is a time that you're going to want to use palette paper, because if you are trying to do your modeling paste in a paper plate and you're using the palette knife, you are gonna be knocking up against the edges, and it's gonna be hard for you to be able to move it around. We're gonna flatten it out a little bit. The reason that we are adding extra paint into this is because when you do a layer of the modeling paste, then it is going to be a little bit clear. So we were working on this project and we were kind of practicing with it to see what it was going to be like. And once we did it and we scraped it off, it was, parts of it were just a little transparent. So I'm going to grab just a little more out of here using another palette knife. Anytime that you are going to use the modeling paste, you want to immediately wipe off your palette knife, and you are going to want to immediately wash off your stencil, because if you leave the modeling paste on your stencil, it is going to ruin your stencil because it's going to dry, it's going to get hard. All right, so then what we're going to do with this is we are going to scrape some of it up onto our knife. We want to stay kind of on the top quarter of our knife, and we are going to scrape it on, kind of like you are decorating a cake. We're going to scrape it here, and you want your stencil to be taped down very well here, because any movement that you get with your modeling paste is going to go everywhere. Don't worry, I have a trick for you so that if it does go everywhere, I can show you, I can tell you what to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it down here, although we did not complete all of this, because this is one that I can show you how to fix it. So when you're doing this with your project, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're using your MultiMasker. If you're close to other places, you're gonna put this on just kind of like you're decorating a cake. And we're going to wipe this off, and we are going to kind of scrape this. And we're not pushing hard, we're just kind of going across the top of it. Your masker, so this would just happen, so I'll show you what happened here. It can get stuck under your stencil when you're trying to scrape off. So I'll show you what that looked like so that we can show you how to get it off. So when you are done with your modeling paste, we are going to wipe off our knife. We are going to undo our tape, and you are going to lift straight up on your stencil. If your stencil wiggles and jiggles any when you're pulling it up, you are going to get some movement. So we're going to lift straight up. And so I have a little bit over here to the sides. What you can do is you can just scrape it right off. And you can come with your paper towel even and get it a little wet and scrape it off. So there's some places that are higher than others and thicker than others. Say you hate it. So good news, our drop shadow is gorgeous with this, right? The drop shadow looks fabulous, but say you just don't like it's a little bit choppy, it didn't come out perfectly straight. You can use your palette knife. You can scrape it right off. You can use a little bit of water. You can come through here, get it wet, clean it up just a little bit. If you have to, you can go back a step. So you can, if it pops up some of your black, you can go ahead and repaint your black, or you can go all the way back and just re-base coat this with your mint green, and then you can start over. So there's a lot of different options, but this is just a really fun way to get a different texture and a different background. I love how it looks. I love that it's chunky. It does look like icing on a cake when you have it just kind of everywhere. So that is super fun. All right, so next we're getting close to the end, guys. So make sure that you are commenting, you are sharing, you are liking, because I have these really wonderful stencils that I would love to send to you. We've had people asking if we can do stencils as one of our giveaways, so we're doing it. So make sure that you share and you like and you comment so you can enter to win these. And don't forget about our grand prize. So our grand prize is our $30 shopping spree. So you can get on StudioR12's Facebook page. You can upload a photo. You can upload a photo to your personal Facebook page and you can tag StudioR12 in it. So then your family and friends are going to see your artwork, which, guys, they need to see your artwork. And then it's also going to let them find StudioR12 so that if you have any friends in the stenciling community or who might like stencils, it'll give them an opportunity to come check us out and check out our videos as well. And you can also tag your family and friends on StudioR12's page. You can also invite them to like our page if you have people who you think would like this. If you have a painting community that you're already in, you can share these with them. They might like to see it. Not thinking I stuck my palette knife in the water bucket, so we don't want to do that. Get it out, dry it off, stick it back in here, and we are good to go. All right, so we have 2 more things that we are going to do. I'm going to, I think, come back to this one because with your modeling paste, it takes a while to dry. So it's going to take a couple hours to dry. So if you are in a rush, give yourself some time. Now, you can hit it with the blow dryer and speed up the drying process, but just be mindful that this is really thick. It's really out there. Once it dries, it's going to harden and be like a rock, but you do want to give it some time. So our next thing that we're going to work on is our spattering. So I am super excited about this. There are a couple different ways to do this. So you can, now when you have your stencil and you already have your modeling paste on it, you're going to want to do your modeling paste as one of the very last things you do, because some of it can seep through, and then if you're trying to move your stencil to another place, then you can get modeling paste all over the rest of your project. So I moved it just up here to the front of my mat, and now there is a little bit of modeling paste on the mat. No big deal. For this project, we're just showing you some different things you can do, so it's not a huge deal, but even setting it down on here, you can see that there's a couple spots. But I want to show you guys how to spatter. So let me find my brush here. So we're going to use our White Wonder. This is a rake brush. So this is our favorite spattering brush. And I'm going to grab also a dome brush. So we're going to use both of these to do our spattering. We're going to do our spattering in, we're going to do a little bit of black and a little bit of white. So I'm going to put my palette paper here. I'm going to put some black on here, and you want to give yourself some room. And you want to put your brush in the water. So we are telling you it is okay to put your brush in the water for this one. You want to get it nice and wet, bring some water over and mix it in with your paint. You don't want it to be milky. You don't want it to be creamy. You want it to be kind of like an ink consistency, because that's going to give you your best effects for spatter. When you are getting ready to spatter, do not have anything that you love nearby, because spatter goes everywhere. We were working on some different spatter techniques, and there was spatter on stencils that were off to the side, on paint honey pots. forgot to talk about honey pots. These are our honey pots. You can get them on Amazon. It's a super easy way to store your paint, and look how pretty it is on your shelf just to show all your colors. So we will put the link to those below. We also have this palette paper at StudioR12.com. We recommend the palette paper when you're doing some mixing. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make this nice and watery, and you're gonna want to test it. You are always gonna wanna test your spatter before you do it on your project. I'm gonna move this one. I'm gonna move this one way out of the way because I do not want to get any extra spatter on it. So you're gonna scoop up some paint. You're going to hold this brush and you are just gonna tap it. So you can see how much is here? That means we have entirely too much water, and that is why you test it off to the side. So we are getting some of our water out of here, and we are getting a little bit smaller, a little bit closer to what we want. There we go. Now we're at a good consistency. So then you're just gonna come over your project and you are just gonna spatter anywhere. So I'm gonna show you two different ways. So this way, when we're spattering, we're doing it over top of our stencil. So if you only want your spatter to be over where you stenciled rather than your whole project, leave your stencil on and spatter over top of it. Now it's gonna be the same as with the modeling paste because the spatter stays wet forever. You're gonna have to wait a day at least to let this spatter dry. So if you are spattering over top of your stencil, leave it here, put it to the side, let it dry, and then take your stencil off the next day when it is nice and dry. So you can do that. You can also do it to your full project. So you can see when I lifted my stencil that some of it came through. And you can just go around and do it to your full project. We're at a nice consistency now. It's a little bit lighter, and we're just gonna spatter all over it. Now you can, when you have it lifted up, and I'm getting it all over me, when you have it lifted up, you're gonna be able to not have very much control over your spatter. So the higher you have it, the less control you have. However, if you want to do it in a particular spot, you can anchor your dome brush and you can spatter off to the side, and you can see that that is going to get it in one specific spot. So if you have a tree on your project and you just want to add a little bit of snow to your project and to your tree, then you can anchor your brush down, but that takes practice. So that's something that if you have a board that you don't really love, maybe you have a practice board, something that you want to repaint, then that's a good place to spatter. We also practice a lot on cardboard boxes. So when you get your Amazon shipments, keep your boxes, break them down, and then practice your spattering, practice your painting. We're at a really good, nice place right now. I kind of just don't want to finish spattering because it looks so good. But I will, I'll finish for you guys. So we're gonna wash off this brush. We're gonna stick it into our water, and then we are gonna dry this one off. We're gonna make it nice and clean, put it down in the bottom and kind of scrape it across the bottom just a little bit. And we are going to wash this one off. This one's okay to get wet and still use. We used it with really wet paint. Then we're gonna just put it back in here to dry. Okay, we have one more thing for you. We're gonna show you a couple different ways that you can finish your project. We get a lot of questions about how do we finish our project? Do we have to seal it? Do we have to treat it? The short answer is no. You do not have to seal your project. If you are hanging something in your house, you're not gonna be moving it very often. If you're just gonna leave it there, then you do not have to necessarily spend the time sealing your project. However, if it's going to be outdoors, you definitely want to. We use polyurethane for our outdoor projects, and then we use a Minwax paste finishing wax for our indoor projects. So with this, we have sponges. We have a sponge set on StudioR12.com where you can get several different sponges. We just use our sponge. It fits right in here so nicely, then you don't always have to go look for your sponge. And you also don't want to use the sponge for anything else after you wax it because it's going to get waxy. It's going to get your fingers waxy. So we just put our sponge in here and we just rub it over top of our project. However, when you do something like we did with the modeling paste, it is going to make it raised. So you are going to have to be extra careful when you are sealing your project when you do something raised. Let me tear this off because I have a mess. So a lot of times when we're using our polyurethane, we'll use our dome brush. I mean our polyfoam brush. Our polyfoam brushes are wonderful. They don't get super bendy, so you can have a lot of control. We use these a lot when we're basing our projects, and we use it a lot when we're finishing, but not if you use the modeling paste, because the modeling paste is raised. And if you try to brush this across, you can catch it and you can move it. So we don't want to do that. You want to let it sit, you want to let it dry, you want to let everything get sealed in, get your modeling paste dry. And then you're going to want to grab your matte varnish. I'm going to pour a little bit out onto your palette paper. And then we're going to use our oval glaze brush. So the oval glaze brush is really great because it is going to move with you. There's a lot of movement in it. So you're going to grab a little bit of your finish, and you're just going to go over real soft over top of your project. So why are we finishing this one? Since this is a Christmas sign, most people, when they paint their Christmas signs, they paint them, they get them out in October, November, they keep them up through Christmas, and then they store them away. So when they are stored away, they're going to be packed on top of other projects. You might put a piece of paper between them. You might forget when the season's over, and you're just gonna stack and stack and stack. And if you do that, then if you don't seal your project, then the paint can chip off, or you can get some lines through it. We've all seen it on some of these, even on this one. There's a big scrape through it where another project brushed up against it that we didn't get that one sealed. So that's what can happen if you don't get them sealed. And if you spend so much time on a project, especially like this one where we really worked on the background, we really worked on our drop shadow, we really worked on the spatter, I'd hate for you to get that ruined because we weren't taking care of it. When you're done with your oval glaze, you're going to get it wet. You're going to wash the matte varnish out of it, and you are going to let it dry. But you want to make sure that you get that matte varnish out because it will harden your brush if you don't. So when you are doing your signs, when you're doing your Christmas signs, when you are finishing these, you're going to stack them and stack them and stack them. You're going to do 2 coats of the polyurethane on it just to give yourself some extra protection so that when they are stacked and when they are packed away for the winter, that you are not risking anything so that you can have them safe. We also use the polyurethane on any signs that are going to go outdoors. That will help them be protected against the elements. All right, guys, I think that is it. You have one really quick last chance to share and comment and like this post so that you can be entered to win our amazing Christmas stencils. Don't forget to share pictures of your projects so you can win a $30 shopping spree, and head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so that you're notified anytime that we have new content, new videos, new tutorials for you. I hope that you guys have a great day and Merry Christmas in July. Hey there, it's Kari at StudioR12 Stencils, and we hope that you love Christmas in July as much as we do. You're gonna wanna come back and join us all month long so you can see all of our new fun things that we have for you. We We have new designs, new tutorials. We're gonna be sharing old tutorials so that you can just get a little bit extra inspiration for this Christmas season. And we have a ton of product photos showing you how to paint all of our new designs. Yes, we have more than 30 new Christmas designs for you guys this year over on StudioR12.com. Right now, you can find it under the Christmas 2021 collection tab, and we'll share the link for you as well, don't you worry. Here are a couple of our new designs. We have these vertical signs this year with some fun words that are all mixed up, and then we also have our gingerbread baking company signs, and this one's cool because you can get it personalized to say Mrs. Rawlinson or whatever your name is, kitchen, or you can have it say Mrs. Claus. So how fun is that? So we also have a really cool surprise for you. If you grab one of our new Christmas designs from our website and you stencil a project with them through the whole month of July, if you share one of those photos with us, you'll be entered to win a $50 shopping spree. Talk about a good early Christmas present. So you have the entire month of July to get one of our new stencil designs for Christmas 2021, share a photo, and then you could be the big winner. We will announce that winner in August. Don't worry, we'll keep reminding you. So we hope you'll come back and join us every Tuesday at 12 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern. Check out all of our fun Christmas designs and our fun new upcoming Christmas tutorials. We'll see you next week.